What is up, guys? This is your source, and I wanted to do a brief video just to let you know that I was able to pick up this guy, a LaCroix. So as I mentioned previously in a recent video, this was purchased for my wife. She was riding an Evolve Bamboo GT with 97 ABEX on it. We did like that board, but honestly we like this one significantly more just for the ride comfort, the power, the range. I mean, it's an amazing machine. So I do have both of them in my possession, and I also was able to do an interview with Alex while I was there in Montreal and do a little bit of riding while we were there. The weather wasn't that great, but we did get a day of riding in. And I will get that interview out to you guys as soon as I can. But just right now, I just wanted to do a very brief video to talk about the differences between this board and this board. Now, mine was the fifth one produced and sold, and they've made a few changes since then. Some of them are obvious. Others you may not know unless you'd had an earlier model. I will just say that the power and the range is still incredible, on both. I love my board. It's awesome. So I don't really have real significant complaints about it, but I did have a few gripes. And some of at least one of them I'll talk about in just a minute was addressed and fixed. So aesthetically, you can just see that obviously they have changed the grip tape to this hexagonal, and if you've seen other LaCroix, you know that they've been doing that for some time. Also, you can see on mine I don't have any insignia of differentiating which battery pack I have. Since the time of my first review and purchase of this board, they did give the option for a different battery pack that does give you more range, and that's the DSS 50 Plus. Now, it does have that insignia on this board, although this is actually the DSS 60. He just didn't have any DSS 60 insignia decks available at the time of putting her board together. So we were fine with her getting the little unique build there with the switched up deck and battery pack. Makes no difference at all in the ride. So there's that. The other thing is looking at the trucks here, you can kind of see the light bouncing off this because it's a higher gloss finish, whereas this one, it's actually a matte finish on this truck. So not a big difference, but just a little aesthetic change there. Both look nice to me. The other thing is you can see here mine has these type of axles here. They're not hollow, but on my wife's, she actually has the hollow set on hers. And it's kind of a gimmick, I think, as far as the marketing from MBS goes, and I was talking with Alex about it. It's kind of meant to shave weight, and it does, but it's so little that it doesn't make that big of a difference. At the same time, it is kind of nice to shave weight where you can on a larger board like this. Doesn't seem to compromise any type of durability to the board, I mean, in any significant way where you would be worried about snapping the truck. So not worried about that. So that's kind of an interesting change, but just wanted to let you know about that as well. Other thing, a very welcome change, is the differences of these guys, this charge port. So I've talked about this before as one of my gripes. It pops out really easily. It's just very, very difficult to put this back after you pull it out. You can do it, but it's kind of an irritation and it's not very easy. On this board, I'm happy to say that they've changed the charge port to a different style, or a different kind, and it's pretty easy to take out, but then it's also easy to put back in, and it stays in really well. So kudos to them for making that little slight change that does make the user experience that much better. So you can see too, I just put on the same little flashing lights on our boards. I mentioned before, I talked about these in another video. Very cheap, less than $3 a piece. They're not the greatest lights. They don't provide good illumination for night riding at all. They're basically just as a signal light to let traffic know that you're there. So it's just kind of a safety precaution. I'd like to get something better, but I didn't want to spend more money on it at this time. Okay, and that's basically it. The other change in these boards is mechanical, because my wife has the different pulley came installed with the fewer tooth pulley, the 15 tooth, whereas mine has the higher tooth. So I do have a higher top speed, but she has higher torque. Both top speeds are still really high. We never maxed out her board or anything like that. I've never maxed out mine, but I've, you know, gone well over 30 miles an hour. But I don't feel really a need to go that fast, so I'll probably switch over to the 15 tooth pulley because it is quite a bit more torquey, and I like that. I think it's a little bit more exhilarating, and you can have a lot of fun at lower speeds just feeling that torque. However, as I've talked about before, this board is super powerful even with the higher tooth pulley. The torque is really, really good. In Montreal, while we were riding, there's a lot of hills there. Couldn't find a single one that these boards weren't able to just smoke, just flatten every hill around. They're awesome. Actually, while we were there, we were also riding with my brother, and he was on my Viril, which, as you know, is a budget board. But you know, it's an okay board. It's a decent budget board for sure. But you know, as we're riding around, and he's a bigger guy too. He's like 220, 230. I'm about 175, 180, maybe with gear sometimes. Some of the hills, as his battery was dying, I would just come up behind him and give him a push and push him right up the hill, and not much struggle from the LaCroix at all. So pretty amazing to see the power of this. And keep in mind, that isn't even with the 15 tooth pulley on, which I'd like to switch to just for that kind of new feeling and fun. So yeah, awesome board. Last little thing I wanted to talk about is I want to say thanks, guys, so much for subscribing, watching these videos. I hope you find them informative. If you've seen my videos, much like this one, you know that they're not the highest quality. That's because I pretty much just shoot them all on my cell phone. I don't have a good camera, good audio equipment, good lighting, good editing software, none of that stuff. But I do like bringing you guys content. Now, I know Black Friday is coming up, so there's probably going to be some sales on some stuff. So I've been wanting to try to make my videos a little bit higher quality. If you guys have any suggestions on gear or editing software that's a good deal, won't break the bank, but can maybe significantly increase the quality of my videos to make it better for you guys, then feel free to leave me a comment below, and I'd really appreciate that. So I'll try to get some other videos out along with that interview with Alex, and maybe a little bit of ride footage of Montreal. In the meantime, hope you guys ride safe, have fun. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one.